Welcome. Zombies are a theme that fascinates millions of fans worldwide. However, not all zombie movies and series have gained the fame of The Walking Dead or World War Z. In today's ranking, I'll take you on a journey through the best unknown zombie productions that definitely deserve more attention. Get ready for unique stories, surprising twists, and fresh takes on the apocalyptic genre. Ready? Let's dive in. Madass. Romaine's youth was supposed to shine brightly that night, carefree fun, laughter, and adrenaline. However, on the way to an evening full of promise, he encounters something that turns his world upside down. In the middle of nowhere, in the lonely spotlight, he spots an injured woman. He stops, unaware that this moment will be the beginning of a nightmare from which he will not be able to escape. Her presence is unsettling, as if something inhuman lurks just below the surface. Suddenly, in a violent act of unbridled madness, she begins to bang her head against a hard surface until blood floods everything around her. Romaine is paralyzed. This is not a hallucination, not the effect of a substance he took earlier. This is a real, terrifying hell, the meaning of which escapes his reason. What was supposed to be an ordinary evening turns into a terrifying journey through the darkness, where the boundaries between reality and nightmare blur with every step. The night consumes him, leading him to places where madness knows no bounds, and every sound, shadow, and murmur becomes a prelude to even greater horror. Fear the Walking Dead, dead on the water. In the murky depths of the ocean, aboard a military submarine, something begins to happen. The world on the surface is dying, and with it all the rules that once governed it. When a mysterious virus reaches the deck, death becomes only the beginning. The crew members, one by one, return as unstoppable, blood-hungry zombies. In the cramped corridors and claustrophobic cabins, there is nowhere to escape. Zombies flit about the ship, their shadows dancing in the glow of the emergency lights. One mistake, one noise, and you are lost. The commander is faced with an impossible choice: how to protect the remnants of the crew when any man can turn into a monster at any moment. The plague is spreading fast, and the line between the living and the dead is becoming increasingly blurred. Zombies don't just prey on people, they rip cables and destroy systems, leading the ship towards destruction. In this metal coffin, at the bottom of the ocean, time is running out, and the screams of those who are still fighting echo off the steel walls. Is it still possible to believe that there is a way out? Or is this simply an underwater tomb where the living are just a feast for the dead? Night of the Living Deb. In a quiet, charming town, something takes place that will change the lives of its residents forever. A young woman, Deb, wakes up after an intoxicating night, barely remembering the details of her encounter with the handsome and somewhat blasé Ryan. A morning that could have been awkward quickly turns into something much more frightening. Outside, chaos reigns. The streets are filled with bloodthirsty zombies who, for unclear reasons, have crawled to the surface, wanting only one thing. Flesh and blood. Deb, clumsy but indomitable, must suddenly find the courage and cunning to survive this macabre apocalypse. Together with Ryan, who is as terrified as she is, they begin a desperate fight for life. However, it's not just the hordes of zombies that become a threat. Conflicts, tensions, and secrets arise between Deb and Ryan, adding horror to an already dangerous situation. Can two very different people, connected only by chance and chaos, find a common way to survive? Or will the dark secrets they hide from each other and the world prove more deadly than the living dead outside? As the bloody nights darken the horizon, one thing is certain. In a world where the undead hunt every move, there is no room for mistakes. Dead Shack. Somewhere in the middle of nowhere, in the heart of impassable forests, stands a bleak, dilapidated cabin. Three teenagers, during a weekend trip with their family, discover something that will change their lives forever. Inside lives a lonely woman neighbor who on the surface seems ordinary, if perhaps a bit odd. But what lies behind her door is an unimaginable nightmare. In the basement of this cottage, she holds her victims, undead, hungry, bloodthirsty. She doesn't do this by chance. She breeds them. She turns those who have died at her hands into zombies to use them as a tool of revenge and protection. When the teenagers discover her dark secret, a desperate struggle for survival begins. The woman, aware of their presence, will stop at nothing to silence them forever. The forest becomes a maze of death. Every step could be their last. Every dark path hides danger. Enemies are no longer just dead. Now the living are just as dangerous. It's a game of life, where every move can bring them closer to a dark eternity. There are no heroes in this world. There is only the fight against oneself and what lurks in the shadows. Contracted. A young woman, Samantha, enters a dark world of irreversible consequences after one fateful night. It seemed to be just a casual, non-committal encounter at a party, but what begins as a small, strange rash quickly turns into a nightmare. Her body slowly begins to refuse to obey, and her friends and family look on in horror, unaware of the true horror that is unfolding. Every hour brings new symptoms: bleeding, rotting skin, unbearable pain. What could have looked like an STD turns out to be something much worse, as if life itself is escaping from her body. Samantha not only struggles with physical decay, but also with constant fear. What is really happening to her? And worse, isn't she a threat to everyone around her? In the shadow of these events lies a terrifying mystery, an infection that turns people into something monstrous, something that has no place in nature. Every breath of it is a warning. Every second is a step closer to becoming someone or something inhuman. We are zombies. In a world where the undead have become a part of everyday life, three lazy friends, Carl, his sister Maggie, and their companion Freddy, make a living by illegally disposing of unwanted zombies. Their routine is brutally interrupted when their beloved grandmother is kidnapped by the ruthless megacorporation Coleman Industries. Determined to save her, the heroes enter the murky world of crime, confronting petty crooks and corporate machinations. In the course of this dangerous mission, they uncover a terrifying conspiracy that could threaten the entire city. Their journey becomes not only a fight for their grandmother's life, but also for the future of a society where the line between the living and the undead is increasingly blurred. State of emergency. A small, sleepy town becomes the arena of an unimaginable nightmare when the explosion of a mysterious laboratory releases a deadly virus. People you once knew are now transformed into uncontrollable, bloodthirsty beasts, fast, unstoppable, blindly driven by instinct. The world outside is dying, and you are trapped. In this reality, every sound, every breath can mean the end. Jim, an ordinary man, overnight loses everything: his fiancée, his home, his safety. In a desperate attempt to survive, he locks himself in a warehouse where he becomes a witness to how humanity is descending into chaos. But loneliness is not his only enemy. Outside the walls, a constant rumble can be heard. It's them, constantly trying to get in, and their numbers are growing by the minute. In time, Jim discovers that he is not alone. Among the screams and shadows appear other survivors, as desperate and terrified as he is. But can anyone be trusted when the outside world has turned people into monsters? The fight for survival is not just about escaping the virus. It's a game of hope, morality, and humanity in a world that has long since ceased to know them. That wraps up our list of the best unknown zombie movies and series. I hope you found something intriguing to add to your watch list. Don't forget to share your favorite productions in the comments and let me know which ones were new to you. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next ranking.